Steven,
Champs.
when's the last time you used the phrase "holy cannoli"?
I have not used that phrase ever in my life, but I've also never been interviewed by Lisa Salters after an NBA Finals game, and I'm trying to mask me saying "holy shit." So I've never done that before and had to think of a word on the fly because that's exactly what happened with Clay.
You think he was about to say "holy shit" and then "holy cannoli" came out?
Yes, of course. He had to say something.
Or maybe he was watching. The only time I've ever heard that phrase before is, have you ever seen old SNL with Chris Farley and Adam Sandler, where Chris Farley is playing the old woman and Adam Sandler is playing the old man? They're a couple.
Yes.
And she's like, let's read what's going on in Zagat's. And
Yeah.
she's reading, and the whole time Sandler's like, God, take me to die.
Yeah.
There's a line where she goes, and there's this Italian restaurant, and they have the best desserts. Holy cannoli.
Yeah. And then he does like the double chin. Yeah.
That's the only time I've heard that. I'm pretty sure Steph is probably mad at him, though, because he could have said holy moly and promoted his golf show on ABC. It would have been perfect.
Is that still going on?
Yes, with Joe Tessitore.
I think and Rob Riggle. I think if Steph if Steph had the decision, though, he'd be like, you know what? Don't promote that. We don't need people watching that. I got enough money. It's fine.
Yeah, you should promote Date Night on HBO Max.
Exactly. Do that. Don't promote holy moly. We've done enough date night promotion, though, in the All-Star game. That's enough date night promotion for me. Don't need 2 Chainz out there again. But anyway, nevertheless, Warriors are champs, baby. Let's go.
Oh, right. Welcome to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. The Warriors are NBA champions once again, and we're rocking our old school Warriors shirts. I'm wearing mine from the 2015 finals. Stephen is wearing his from the 2013 playoffs. Yep. Mine's better. His is, though, more, I guess, like, cool because it's older and not before they were good.
Yeah, it's way more faded. It's like my favorite one, though. I'm never getting rid of it. I only got this one. I only got this one from 2017 and then 2 from 2019, I think. Remember we went to the one against the Rockets for work?
Yes.
We were in the suite. Yeah, we were in the suite, and James Harden had his eye poked out.
Yes, that game, yep.
And then that was also the year where I was at game 2 of the Clippers series, where they ended up coming back from the
30 they blew that lead?
Yeah, where they came back from the 30-point deficit in the first half, and Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell just killing them on the pick and roll. But you know what, man? That's the crazy part. We are talking about these times back in 2015, 2017, 2019, 2013, and somehow in 2022, the Warriors are still doing this with the same core of guys. I really couldn't believe it. I couldn't. I just couldn't believe it.
We'll get into all that because I think I've heard a lot of people say that they didn't expect this and it's surprising. And I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll get into that real quick. Just to recap the games since we last did a podcast. Game 5, Steph was 0 for 9 from 3. First time he didn't make a 3 since
233 games.
Yep, you got it. 20, and then 2018, I think, was the year, the season. And it was Klay Thompson picking up the slack. It was Andrew Wiggins picking up the slack. It was Draymond Green responding to all the bullshit and picking up the slack. And they survived that game, even with Steph not playing at his best. We all were talking about, last Saturday that Steph Curry carried the Warriors. I thought the Warriors carried Steph Curry in Game 5. And that's why they are great at what they do. They're a great team because while Steph is Finals MVP and he is the star, they are a great team all around. But it's not determined by their bank account, and we'll get into that later too. But Game 6, I honestly thought that the Warriors were going to lose just because every closeout game they've had on the road this playoff run, they didn't come through. But this was different. This was to close out the season, to close out the championship. So they were more focused than they've ever been in any game, in my opinion. Even though they were down 12-2 to start, I thought they were focused. They came back with a vengeance. I thought the game was over. I know that the Celtics cut it down to single digits in the fourth quarter, but I thought the game was over as soon as Steph hit that 3 in the third quarter to make it 72-50. That's that one where he had the 2 defenders in his face. I thought it was over by then. Even though the Celtics were creeping back in, I don't think there was any chance they were coming back in that game. And it was just such a dominant effort.
It felt like after Draymond hit that long mid-range shot in the third quarter to really
he made a 3
to put it up. He made 2 threes, and I think the Warriors were 19-1,
and I wanted
now
to hear
19-1 when he makes a three.
I wanted to hear Mike Breen give a Draymond bang, but Lisa Salters was talking over the call.
What I noticed though in the past couple of games is they did carry Steph in game 5, but Steph still he got some assists in that game, and he still got 14 points outside of the 2 free throws. He ended with 16, but he was 2 for free from the line. So he still got 14 points shooting floaters and still doing stuff like that. So, you do got to give him his credit there. But yes, you're right. The Warriors absolutely did carry him in game 5. And Draymond absolutely bounced back. He looked like a different player to start out that game 5 with that fake handoff going in for the dunk. He did that throughout the regular season. Haven't really seen him do that too much. And he's done it throughout the postseason, actually. Just hadn't seen him do it too much against the Celtics. Hadn't seen him do it at all. But he did. And that's when it felt like they were locked in. But here's what I noticed about the past 2 games. And this was something toward the end of the fourth quarter. But, man, the Celtics just gave up in both of those games. Like, they just gave up. They didn't even try. Like, Jason Tatum, if he can't get the ball moving, there were multiple times where in game 5 specifically, where he's one-on-one with Steph Curry. He's one-on-one with Steph. And for some reason, he decides to pass it to Derek White. Yeah. And let Derek White go one-on-one with whoever was guarding him. I think it was Klay Thompson. It's like, what are you doing, Jason Tatum?
I thought he'd be a little more aggressive.
Jaylen Brown, he's a great player, but he could be a little reckless. And I think that the Morning Roast was making a fantastic point about the Celtics. It's the difference between them and the Warriors is the Warriors, even though they don't have a true point guard, they do have guys that can just dish the rock wherever and let guys run rampant. Like the Celtics don't have that. It's, hey, let me get the ball in my hands and let me create something off the dribble. It isn't, let's try and create something off of an assist. Plus, they turned the ball over a ton in that game. They were just so disheartened. I mean, like you mentioned, it was actually a 14-2 run, Derek. So let's get that straight. Okay.
Oh, my bad.
But then they went on that. Stat boy. But then, depending on whatever you want to use, because they went on like a 38-5 run in total, and within that span, they went on like a 21-0 run, or what?
Yeah, fuck all that. It was a 3-touchdown run they had there.
Yes, dude, 35-8. But within that, it was a 21-0 run, which is just crazy. And that's when he felt like the Warriors were really going to take this thing over, and the Celtics just had no chance. And that's where the championship DNA, pedigree, whatever you want to call it, championship medal, that's where it came into play, because those teams, the Celtics, that is, they gave up in the fourth quarter, and their team leader, Marcus Smart, the guy who's the vocal leader of that team, he was flopping all over the place. Yep. Jason Tatum, like we already just said, not being as aggressive as he should have been, kept turning the ball over, airballed that 3, or maybe it grazed the front rim when he had the wide open look. So it felt like this was destiny for the Warriors to win. It really did. And oh my gosh, I'm still have a feeling of elation. Like yesterday, I was just driving home. I just felt good. It's like that feeling when you're at a festival and you're just like, okay, I don't have any cares in the world right now. Everything
ecstasy.
No, not that. Not that. But like when
you're
not
at literal ecstasy, but figurative ecstasy.
Yes, when you are at a festival, you have this.
You're on cloud 109, Stephen.
Exactly. Oh man, it's just such a good feeling.
Good lines in the post game. So many good lines.
Oh my God, he was fantastic, wasn't he? There's a 30-second compilation video. Shout out to our guy Danny Freisinger for retweeting it. But there's like a 30-second comp video of Klay and everything that he did after the game. I think my favorite thing though is what do you go? He's like, hey, because he tried to mimic what he was doing on the boat. And he's like,
oh yeah. And
he's like, hey, there's nothing like the finals. And then he goes, 1, 2, 3, 4 rings in my bank account, bitch. Yes. It was so good. So good.
Yeah. No, man, it's incredible. 4 championships in 8 seasons. So let's just talk about that, man. They do it again. And there was a lot of, I think 2019 just left a bad taste in our mouth, because that was the season where, it was the third one with Kevin Durant, and it was hijacked by all of the talk of whether or not KD was going to come back. And then Steph got hurt. Then he comes back. Then Kevin got hurt. It was so emotional. It was such a last dance, like ridiculous thing of just not even about the games. It was about everything off the court, about the future. And they lose the finals. That's the last season with Oracle, and it's such a big question mark, and we don't know what's going to happen with this team. And I'll even admit, back then I was leaving. I was going to go to LA, and it was a weird feeling knowing that this team was never going to be the same. They're never going to play in Oakland again. Klay Thompson was going to be out for the season with a torn ACL. Kevin Durant had left to go to the Brooklyn Nets. And honestly, I kind of lost interest because anyone knows me knows that I have always been gung-ho about supporting Oakland sports. And that's kind of a defiant nature of younger me. And I was kind of like, I'm kind of over the Warriors now. And it was sad. I loved them so much for the 3 championships they won. But then I was kind of like, I don't know. I didn't like the whole Chase Center move. I didn't like it. But now that I've come back home and I've gotten back into them again, and I, understand. I mean, I understood it then, but, it's business. It just is what it is. This team embraces all of the Bay Area, whether it's Oakland, whether it's San Francisco, they unite us. I don't think that the Bay Area is united as sports fans. We are divided when it comes to baseball because of the A's and Giants. Raider fans still hold animosity towards the 49ers. This is the only team, in my opinion, that unites the entire Bay Area. So I am ecstatic. I've gotten over it. Chase Center will never be Oracle, but Chase Center has done an amazing job. I was one of the many people that was going to criticize the Warriors for not having home court advantage going forward, but they did it. They pulled it off, and I couldn't be more happy that the Warriors got their 4th championship in 8 seasons.
Yeah, and I was kind of with you. I didn't know how, and especially when Steph and Klay were both hurt and it was just Draymond on the team, I didn't know what they were going to look like when they came back.
God.
And I was even more down.
Won 15 games 2 seasons ago. Good Lord.
Yeah, and I was even more down when Klay got hurt again prior to them drafting James Wiseman, because I really didn't know what to think for a number 2 overall pick. I didn't think they'd get back here. I really didn't. And then, Steph is looking the way that he looked toward the end of the 2021 season. And then he says after the play-in game, you know what, we are going to be back here. And then they get off to the start that they have, and Andre is back, and he's talking to Draymond, and he's saying how this team is much like the 2014-2015 team. Oh my God, this is what it's reminiscent of. And so you're thinking, damn, they're really going to do this. Like, they're going to have a chance here. And
yeah.
And like, you want to stay humble, you know what I mean? You really do. Like, as a Warriors fan, you try, just as a sports fan, you don't want to think your team's automatically winning the championship. So it was slowly but surely, like, you had to go on a slow upward trajectory of where you thought with this team, but I never really thought they would be right there. So, I mean, I thought it was over. I really did.
I never thought it was going to be completely over. I thought they'd be, competitive like the Spurs in the past throughout the years, but I didn't expect them to come back as soon as this. When the season ended a year ago and they lost that play-in game to the Lakers, my fandom hit up a lot because I was in LA and I had to hear a shit ton of Laker fans be like, fuck the Warriors, fake championships. Yep. And I was like, all right, fuck you guys too. So, and I always thought that they be, I don't know if they would be right back where they were again with Klay Thompson, but I thought that with Klay coming back, it'd be something special. And it's amazing. He's gone for 2 seasons. They had 15 wins, and that was, mainly because he was out and Steph broke his hand. And that was just a terrible season. Draymond just didn't even care. And then they come back the next season, and it's just Steph carrying the whole team to arguably maybe his best season, an MVP season, in my opinion. And they just, they ran out of gas. But yeah, man, I don't really know if I was surprised though, because I remember, Saintly came on with us when we did our NBA preview show, and he was like, I really like this team. And I texted Saintly after they won the championship. I'm like, it's just not the same without you, man. He's like, oh, thanks, Steve. But I remember we were picking our teams of who we thought were going to be in the finals, and I caved to popular opinion, which you should never do, Steven, especially with movies with Adam Sandler and basketball. We'll get to that later.
Sometimes popular opinion is the correct opinion.
Fine, then you be with everybody else and not listen to Drake's new album.
I'm not listening to Drake's new album.
Me either, because Drake's always had bad albums, in my opinion. Anyway,
yes, he has.
Moving on.
Scorpion sucked ass. Anyway.
I agree. But yeah, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. But yeah, I think that, I mean, I caved and I picked the Lakers, even though I didn't think the Lakers were going to be good. But for whatever reason, I just thought that, recency, bias, that they would be better than the Warriors. But on paper, I mean, yeah, they had the 3 stars, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Russell Westbrook, but the Warriors had a better team. And in the back of my mind, I wanted to pick them to play the Nets in the finals, and I thought it was kind of too soon.
Well, look, hang on real quick. I don't think that you are – I don't think you're entirely, out of pocket for thinking that a Lakers team was going to be better than the Warriors. You didn't know that Jordan Poole was going to turn out to be one of the most improved players in the NBA.
But you were hyping him up before the season, though, I remember.
You didn't know that Andrew Wiggins was going to turn into the Andrew Wiggins that he's become, which is two-way wigs. You didn't know that let's just say Steph Curry was going to be able to carry this team without Klay Thompson. You didn't know that Draymond was going to continue to be the Draymond that we've normally seen. You didn't know that, Jonathan Kuminga was going to be a great rookie. Like there's certain things, man. You got to cut yourself some slack. It's okay for not thinking that this Warriors team was going to be a championship contender. It's okay for thinking that, because I think they really did surprise a lot of people. I think they did. You know what? You mentioned something, and I'm going to bring it up. The checkbook comment thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I tried to go against popular opinion. I personally thought this was fan biased at its finest, is what I thought, because Windhorst said those comments, and then he went on the roast and gave this 12-minute explanation, and everyone considered it backtracking. And I think that's super messed up in this world. Unless you say something like racist or another derogatory term, then I'm not willing to hear a 12-minute explanation on that. But if you're calling the Warriors a checkbook team, I'm willing to hear an explanation on that. And his explanation, he might have been backtracking, and I could be, and I am wrong on this, to be honest, because the team apparently was pissed off at this too. But he was saying that he was trying to give them a compliment because they did win with the highest payroll in the league, but they didn't have to pay those guys. Like, I got to be honest, a lot of Warrior fans, they didn't want Lacob spending that money. They didn't want him spending that money on, continuing to spend that money on Draymond. Once Draymond had that pod with Kevin Durant, and then the one where he said he was going to be going to LeBron's, all-time scoring record game next season. He can skip a Warrior game in order to do that. Fans were calling to trade him because his contract wasn't worth it. You'd be able to save some money. Andrew Wiggins, no one was willing to take on that max deal because, let's be honest, with Minnesota, it looked like a bad deal. They've made room for Steph Curry. They extended Kevon Looney, who a lot of people thought was just done. No one knew what his value of the team was in the regular season. You should have seen the comments when it came to Kevon Looney. Like, they did win by paying their guys, but you got to give them respect for paying their guys, because not a lot of other teams would have paid them. Teams are so quick to move now in the NBA. They're so disloyal to the guys on their team. They're just like, you know what? We'll trade him. It's okay. Like, this guy's not going to bring any value here later on. But the Warriors were able to read that. I think that's something that we should celebrate. I think we should take it as a compliment instead of just bagging on Windhorst. That guy has been getting a lot of it though lately. Getting a lot of heat.
I hear you, Steven, and I know that he went on with your show, but it diminished what they accomplished. I understand what he's saying, but Windhorst also has a history of not really supporting the Warriors.
Yeah.
And he's been a LeBron guy, and he's not really a LeBron guy now because he probably doesn't talk to him. But you're going to, bring up your show. I'll bring up my show. I thought Tolbert said it best. Who cares what Brian Windhorst thinks? And that's how I feel. So,
yeah, no, that's big facts. That's seriously, like, who really cares what he thinks? But, I'm a decent human being who likes to hear what people have to say whenever they say something terrible. People are just like, as soon as he said those comments, it's like, did you watch the entire Scott Van Pelt interview and what he had to say? No. Did you listen to the 30-second
No,
clip?
I know.
That's
I
it.
know.
You know what I mean? So it's just, I got really, like, we in the radio business, we in the media business, we hate when people take things that we say out of context. And I just thought that's what happened. That's what was happening with Windhorst. But you know what? I was totally wrong. I was totally wrong to come to his defense, because there probably was something to him saying checkbook, whatever. But anyway, nevertheless, they won anyway. Like, that's it. They won.
Who cares about Windhorst? We'll get to the criticism, but yeah, man. I mean, like, are you? Like, you seem surprised they won the championship. I'm not. I wasn't until they. What was their start? They start like 14-2 or whatever hot start they got off to.
Mm-hmm.
I started to think, wow, these guys are. It's slowly reminding me a little bit of 2015, and I didn't know if they were going to be better than the Suns. It turns out they were, even though we never really got to see them play. Well, we never got to see them play in the playoffs. But there was a certain point with the hot start they got out to when they got Klay Thompson back. I was like, okay, this team could be something special again. And it was Jordan Poole. It was Draymond playing like a defensive player of the year again. I lost confidence a little bit when Draymond got hurt with the back, but when those three guys are on the court together and they are healthy, I don't think anybody could stop them. And we never saw him with Jordan Poole. You know, I made the comments that I thought that Jordan Poole in the starting offense is a better offense than with Kevin Durant. I go back and forth on that now, but I will say that I do like it going forward. And Jordan Poole is going to be, you know, whenever the day comes that Steph Curry does retire, I don't think he's ever leaving the Warriors. I think, you know, you win 4 championships. I don't see how you ever get rid of that guy, whether it's, you know, he wants to leave a free agency or trade, whatever. He's a Warrior for life in my book. So whenever the day comes that he does want to retire, I think the championship is in good, the team is in good hands with Jordan Poole. So I would say though that I'm not really surprised though, just because, you know, we weren't the same team. They weren't the same team, but fuck it, we won a championship. I'll say we for this show. We weren't the same team. Klay Thompson wasn't around. We were still trying to figure things out, and everything clicked this year. And kudos to Steve Kerr. Everyone says, "Oh, anybody could coach this team." No, they can't. No, they cannot, because Steve just knows how to manage these guys. And I'll you know, Steven, amongst the 4 championships, I don't know how you feel, but just with all of the backlash, with the way things ended in 2019, with everyone saying they can't win without Kevin, Steph doesn't play well in the finals, blah, 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 all the bullshit. I think this is the most satisfying, because this is kind of like, did you see the Matrix reboot?
No, I haven't.
I thought it sucked, but I thought that this is like a little bit like that, where it was a reboot. You still have the same characters of Steph, Klay, and Draymond, but it's different. They're at the Chase Center. They have a new supporting cast, even though there's some old faces like Andre Iguodala and Kevon Looney. I thought it was a great reboot that still is a part of the old championship. So I would say this is the most satisfying win, just to tell everybody, fuck you, we're still champions.
Yeah, there's something to that. It's really hard to compare it to the first time, though. Like, there's nothing like that.
Oh, that was amazing.
You know, there really is nothing like it. And you're watching something that's historic. And, you know, the first time that they've gotten one since the 70s, since 1975, when Rick Barry and his team swept the old Washington Bullets.
Come on, people.
As they were underdogs. I'd say that the first one, nothing's really going to compare, but this is a very, very, very close second. Like, it's 1A, 1B. So I'd go with that. And then I'd say that the first one with Kevin Durant and then the second one with Kevin Durant, I'd go those 3 and 4. So, like, you know, I think that it's very close, though, between this and the first one, because it's different. Like,
yeah,
you know, how old these guys are, the fact that they're back to it. Where, you know, you mentioned Jordan Poole. I was wondering this, outside of Steph, Klay, and Dre, like, which story through this season do you feel like was, like, which one to you was the coolest one to keep up with through the season, outside of Steph, Klay, and Dre? Because Klay is probably the top, like, you know, individual storyline that you'd put, because, you know, it's 2 years out of injury, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he still makes the finals, and then they win the finals. Like, there's nothing better than that.
It's a Hollywood
ending. But outside of Steph, Klay, and Dre, I mean, you got Poole, Looney, Wiggins. Because I got one.
You want me to get mine first?
Yeah, you give yours first. I got mine.
Okay. you were the first one to open my eyes to Jordan Poole being a great player this season. And I think that was a great storyline and completely snubbed for most improved player of the year. But we're going to still see his story go. I think Andrew Wiggins, the trade for Andrew Wiggins and the perception of him not being, all that he could be in Minnesota, the first overall pick, LeBron didn't want him, trades him to Minnesota. And, they had minimal success in Minnesota. We trade for him. A lot of question marks. He's always brought up in trade rumors. And I even brought it up, one playoff game where I thought he could have been more aggressive. And he has found a role. We had Antonio Daniels on
nice.
Tolbert and Copes last week, and he comes fiery.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that he thinks that Andrew Wiggins knows his role now. He's not Batman. He's not Robin. He said he's Alfred. I would have said Commissioner Gordon, but sure, Alfred. But I thought that Andrew Wiggins proved a lot of people wrong, and he found his role. He's not going to be the main guy, but he will be the guy that goes rebounds, and he's proven that he could be a top defender on this team. Like Draymond's a great defender, but the fact that Andrew Wiggins shut down Luka Doncic in that playoff series was amazing. Didn't shut him down, but guarded him when he needed to. And they're going to have to pay him, and they'll become we'll do a show one day. We talk about all the free agents. We'll focus on that, but just focusing on the championship and the great storylines from the season, I thought Andrew Wiggins coming into his own and showing that he is a great player in the role that the Warriors gave him, I thought that was a great storyline.
Yeah, man. The Wiggins thing, everyone doubted him. Everyone doubted him, and he's just a positive guy. You know what I mean? He's super humble. Like, he's going to be that guy at the parade where his shoulders are going to be up as they're all tapping him to get to the microphone. He's going to be like, he doesn't really want to talk because he just doesn't talk too much. But Andrew Wiggins is great. I think my favorite one, though, man, is Gary Payton II.
Yep.
I think just, similar to Jordan Poole, when Jordan Poole went to the G League, we didn't really know like what Jordan Poole's NBA future was going to look like. And when GP2 got waived, everyone's thinking, all right, well, no more GP2. And then Avery Bradley comes along, and then they sign GP2 to another 10-day contract. And then GP2 competes with Avery Bradley. But in that meantime, he was applying for the video coordinator job. He just wanted to stay with the Warriors. Even when he was
crazy.
Even when he was waived, he went back to work out with them. He just asked, can I just work out with them for the rest of the day and then leave? Like, can I just do this real quick? Because I just want to stick with the team. And then he manages to stick around for the season, gets the 1-year guaranteed contract, and creates this role for himself where he is going to be getting, a solid 15 to 25 minutes, anywhere ranging from there throughout the regular season. And then to start off these playoffs in the second round, he gets that broken elbow, and everyone thinks that, all right, well, with no GP2, what are they going to do on defense? And then he had proven to be, when he came back against the Celtics, an absolute key on defense, because as soon as he came back, that's when, and he came back in game 1, but he didn't play in game 1. But as soon as he played in game 2, you could tell that, there was no need to double team guys. You could leave, him one-on-one with whoever on the court. And if they were going to try and drive to the hoop, well, he was most likely going to stop them or strip them. Like, his whole story, though, and the fact that he, has one ring compared to just like his dad. And then he's already saying like, well, my dad's not 100% in rings. I am 1 for 1, baby. And then that's what he said on Draymond's podcast. But just thinking to the impact that he had on the series and just what his whole season was like before the season, during the season, and then into the playoffs, it just felt so unfair that Dillon Brooks thing had to happen to GP2 out of all people. And then, then all of a sudden, he's a champion. It's just such a cool story, man. There's a bunch of them. There's a ton of cool storylines. Kevon Looney.
Oh, Kevon Looney. Yeah, Kevon Looney having the best season he's ever had, in my opinion. And, we'll talk about the free agents, but I honestly think that GP2, Wiggins, Kevon Looney, Jordan Poole, just because of the culture and the franchise, they're not going anywhere. And, we'll see. Some guys may want to cash in, but the smart move is to stay with this team because it's not going to get any better than this. And refresh my memory, what team did Gary Payton win a championship with?
Didn't he win it with?
Was he on the Heat?
He won it with the Heat. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on that team. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
God. Well, he was on the Lakers.
He was very old though with the Heat. That was his.
Yeah, he was. That's it. I mean, I remember him as a supersonic, and yeah, that's right. He went when we went to the Lakers with Karl Malone, and then he went to the Heat with Shaq. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
forgot about that.
So, yep, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Like Steve even mentioned it. Like this is the most surprising. Like I don't think anybody thought we were going to be here. I mean, people brought this up. Jeff Van Gundy brought this up during the broadcast. Do you think this is the worst team that the Warriors have had that won the championship just by default between the 4 championships?
The worst team that the Warriors have had.
Worst is a terrible word to use.
If you were to put them, if you were to put them up, like, let's just say we were doing the thing that we were doing with the 2017 team and the in like the 96 Bulls, where we had like a simulation in 2K, you know what I mean? And you're trying to, use that. I think your dad like broadcasted that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He did the play-by-play for that. So let's just say you're doing that sort of exercise with this, and you're pitting this team up against those previous teams. I'd probably say so, because just of the veterans on that 2015 team, and then you have Kevin Durant, like that team in 2017 and 2018. We're never going to take for granted just how good they actually were. And then you bring in guys like, David West and veterans like that. You didn't necessarily have those types of players here on this one. So I'd probably say there's something to what Jeff Van Gundy had to say, but I mean, just as much as the checkbook comments, that kind of dilutes with this Warriors win and just saying, oh yeah, this is the worst one that they've had. It's like, why do you have to say that? Who cares?
Yeah. No, I mean, it does have a negative feel to it when you say that, but I don't I think Andrew Wiggins is an upgrade than Harrison Barnes, in my opinion.
No doubt.
I understand the bench was a lot better in 2015. You had David Lee, a guy that a lot of people forget about. Leandro Barbosa, Andrew Bogut was on that team.
Bogut.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just like Steph said in the post game, it just hits different. And maybe it's just because of all the backlash over the years and the criticism they got for having KD and everybody thinking that they were never going to win again because he left the team. They're all getting old. Yeah, you're probably right that this is probably the worst team amongst the championship teams, but the first championship was so great. But this one, it's different in its own way. Yeah, I'm with you, Steven. It's 1A, 1B. This one just feels kind of like we told you so type of championship, and it's still pretty great. But yeah, just your favorite memories from the season, man. Does anything stick out besides the championship?
Let me think. There a lot of them were kind of just based around watching the younger guys grow. I think like one of my favorite stretches of the season was just Jordan Poole every night scoring 20 or more points. Because to be honest with you, man, like this regular season, they didn't have that. I mean, like we said, they didn't have that core 3 together for a majority of it. It was all just, different iterations of this team, different guys stepping up. My favorite memory, though, overall, I think this was the coolest thing, but it was when Steph broke the 3-point record. I thought that was I just thought that was so damn cool, man. And then also Steph in the All-Star game. I know this doesn't have anything to do with the regular season, but Steph the past 2 years has proven like this dude is the most enjoyable player, the most fun player in the NBA, and a guy who really just loves to play basketball. Like that's what he'd proven to me, because like I thought that watching that All-Star game, I was just like, damn, Steph is just making he is the star out of all these All-Stars. He is the guy. It's not Giannis. It's not LeBron. By the way, that the one stat that came out that said like, oh, LeBron James has chosen the 5 Finals MVPs as his first pick in the All-Star draft. I'm like, who gives a shit? That was a Stat Muse tweet. He's picked the last 5 Finals MVP as his first pick in the All-Star game, and then they titled it LeGM James. It's like, shut up.
No, please. He needs to pick better players for his actual team.
I know, right? Like, how about you do that real quick? Jesus. So yeah, it's hard to quantify just like one memory, and I didn't even like think like would be one memory that I'd have.
It's hard.
It is very tough.
Jordan Poole coming into his own the whole season, I thought was great. It's hard to pick out one memory. I mean, yeah, like I'll always remember the first few games of the Nuggets series, Jordan Poole going off. We're like, God damn, this is going to be something special. It's more so playoff stuff. Wiggins blocking, Wiggins dunking over Luka will always stand out in my mind. Regular season stuff, like it's hard to remember regular season stuff as much in the past. Probably, yeah, Steph getting the 3-point and record and that being done with because he was pushing for that for a while.
It was an ugly stretch of games for him when he was leading up to that.
I know. And he was, that was that night that everybody was expecting he was going to hit 16 threes to break it. Like, that was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, against the Blazers. Good Lord.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, no really regular season moment stands out. Like those, like it's hard to remember regular season games as much as like the older teams, like the 73-9 team. Those games I remember more. The 15 season, I remember those games more. Just with expectations, things kind of changed. But just talking about Steph real quick, like we talked about it before. He had that 43-point game, then he follows it up with an 0-for-9 game. Then he scores 34 to close out the series. And I loved his reaction when in the post game, the first question he gets is, Steph, what does this mean that you won Finals MVP? He's like, we just won a championship. Let's talk about that real quick. It's a 4th championship. Everyone is so unselfish on this team. Klay Thompson doesn't want to be a number 1 guy. He's cool and he's comfortable in his position. Draymond Green, same thing. Everybody else, Andrew Wiggins, Steve Kerr when he was a championship. All the credit goes to Bob Myers. Bob Myers won the championship. All the credit goes to the team. And then when they give Finals MVP to Steph, and he's like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about my team. I just love it. And, everyone's going to talk about the next day, like, where's Steph in your top 10 now? Charles Barkley's like, well, I take Isaiah Thomas out. I put Steph Curry in. Who gives a shit? Let's just say that he is great in what he does. He's got 4 championships. You could say he's the best point guard of all time. It's no doubt in my mind he's the best shooter of all time. But who cares? Who cares about the rankings or the labels? It's just that Steph Curry is a great player, and he deserves everything, and he didn't need to be Finals MVP, but damn it, he got it, and that is just so satisfying.
You ever seen him cry like that?
No, and that's why I said this one kind of hits differently, because this was for Steph, this was for Klay.
He was ugly crying, bro. Ugly crying. Like the type of crying you do not want the public to see.
Does anybody look good when they cry though?
Not at all. But you can still like tear up, and you can still tear up and start to cry a little bit and control like your face. You could see like tears coming down. But this dude, like, it's to the point where you're sobbing and you can't control what your face looks like. Like he was like ugly crying.
He's heard it all.
Is heavy crying is what I'd say. Like it was.
No, I know.
It was so emotional, dude. I was like watching it. I'm just thinking, like, this is what I was doing as I was watching the game. I was just sitting on the couch. Like Jesse's looking at me and she's like, you don't look like you don't look like your team just won a championship. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
every time they have in the past, I've been out. I think I've like been drinking. I, was with friends. I was with a group. I don't know whatever I was doing. I can't remember every single one because there have been so many. But I do remember, like, I never really took time to just sit there and appreciate like the post game stuff. And as I'm sitting there watching, I'm just thinking, like, damn, like what we're going to see in 30 years time, whenever we're looking at finals montages, it's going to be Steph sobbing, it's going to be like Steph receiving that Finals MVP and like bobbing his head every time they were like, Steph Curry's the Finals MVP. And not even to mention, dude, him high-fiving the team. That also speaks to the unselfishness that you're talking about. He high-fived the team before he got handed the Finals MVP trophy. You know what I mean? Like, he knew it was with their help that he was able to get this accomplishment. So everything around it, man, it's just, just watching it. It's going to be played for years to come. I got emotional just thinking about it. I'm getting emotional right now.
I go back to the 2018 finals when it was a watch party at Oracle Arena and Kevin Durant won Finals MVP. And I don't think it was out of hatred. I think it was just because the fan base loves Steph so much that when Kevin Durant was named Finals MVP, everyone in the arena booed because they wanted it so bad for Steph. And Steph is just beloved by this city, by the whole Bay Area, and I think it's just more of a relief. Like, finally, you have nothing to say. I won Finals MVP, and he even said himself, like, I'm the petty king. I hear everything that everybody says, and I'm glad that he brought up old comments in the past. Everyone doing the 0 championship thing on ESPN.
Yep.
Klay Thompson, by the way, bringing up Jaren Jackson out of nowhere. Good Lord.
That was great.
Called him a bum. Friggin' bum. Called him. What's worse, to be called a bum or a clown, in your opinion?
The bum.
You think bum's worse? Clown.
Bum.
Clown. I mean, clown has become like that. That's like the worst thing you call somebody now. Well,
yeah.
not the worst thing, but like as an insult, that's just like, you freaking clown. Like, clown's a profession.
Within sports, like within the sports media world, like calling someone a clown, that's about as much of an insult as you could possibly make. That's inside the FCC rules.
Exactly. I can't wait for Warriors Grizzlies next season, because just for that to be come out of nowhere.
Dude, I saw the Grizzlies fan react. Well, did you think it was like unnecessary or something?
I think just Klay is just, Klay's going to speak from the mouth. Obviously when he goes, holy cannoli.
Like, dude, I got really frustrated though. The Grizzlies, like, even their fans, and I'm looking on social media, Ja Morant responding to it, talking about we live rent free in their heads. It's like, dude, how are you making fun of this guy? They just won an NBA championship and they just used you as motivation because of what you said. Like, Ja Morant, calling him out for that, it's like, weren't you the same guy, Ja Morant, who said, like, after you won game 2, when you walked by Steph and said, yeah, it's going to be a good series, because he remembered what Steph said after game 1. Like, you use things as fuel. Why do people think that's weird? Like, I looked on social media and I'm seeing like Grizzlies fans and Grizzlies reporters saying, he's going back to a strength in numbers quote that was said 3 months ago during the regular season. That's kind of odd. No, it's not. Like,
I have no problem.
What happens. This is what happens when you mess with the bull. You get the horns.
I thought that they put everything to bed when they won the championship that night, and then they made all the comments about the Grizzlies, and Steph was calling out ESPN for Kendrick Perkins. And by the way, Kendrick Perkins coming out the night, the pregame in Game 6, saying Steph Curry's not going to do anything tonight, and Richard Jefferson's going, "You don't believe any of that." I'm just done with that network. But anyway,
yeah, dude. When we're talking about blaming the talking heads, you got to blame ESPN for literally all of it. I mean,
because they, whether you like it or not, they are geared towards the negative, and they're in bed with LeBron. It is what it is. I'm not saying that they don't like when the Warriors win, but there is an agenda. And what I mean by that is the next day I was watching Get Up, and Mike Greenberg, instead of just celebrating the Warriors, he was like, it's kind of, don't you think it's weird that these grown men, these professional athletes, they care about what we say on this show? Like, for them to go back and talk about how we said that they weren't going to win a championship ever again without Kevin Durant. Like, isn't it weird that they care about what we think? Well, yeah, no fucking shit. But when do athletes don't use the media as motivation? Or what other players say? Case in point with the Grizzlies. Like, we're acting like this is weird now? What about, we all watched Last Dance 2 years ago. Michael Jordan made up a phony story about some no-name player in the league saying, "Nice game, Mike." He made it up.
Right.
Players motivate themselves. They use whatever they can to motivate themselves. And it's always been a thing with talking heads talking out of their ass, and players use that as motivation. Well, and now it's the one time where Mike Greenberg's like, why do you care what we think?
That's what bothers athletes, though, about these guys. And that's why Draymond's trying to create the new media. Yeah. Like, did you saw that at the end? You see his podcast at all?
I listened to it. I haven't heard any of the new episodes, though. I'm gonna go take a walk around Lake Merritt and then go take a listen.
Ooh, go. I mean, I'd recommend you watch it as opposed to listening to it. Although listening to it's great. I just recommend you watch the end, because he does a straight. You remember how like Stephen A. Smith did the thing with Kevin Durant, where he's like, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it on camera.
And I'll say it again.
I'll say it again. You don't want to make an enemy out of me. I'm not having it. Like that kind of thing. Yeah, he was doing that. He's like, he looks at the camera. He's just like, It's the new media. And then he's like, he calls out Kendrick Perkins. He's like, this is why guys like get JJ Redick flourish. Why guys like CJ McCollum flourish. Why guys like me flourish. Because we talk about the game. We teach people. Teach. We don't just say things for controversy. It's the new media. Time champ. I'm out. And then he drops the mic. It's fantastic.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. No, I'm all for it, man.
Actually, you know what? You don't even need to watch that after seeing that reenactment. I just did that spot on.
Yeah, you did Draymond perfectly. if anyone's gonna play Draymond in a movie, it's Stephen Langford.
Hell yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, is there any criticism over the past few years? I mean, like, I hated the next day that everyone was like, well, what does this mean for Kevin Durant's legacy?
Yeah, that was really frustrating.
Who cares? I'm sure, I heard Kevin was at the game. I'm not sure if he actually was, but I'm sure he was happy for everybody. He's moved on. We've moved on. Let it be.
He got what he wanted. He got power. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't have that with the Warriors. I'm sorry. You got people who are above you. He didn't want that. He wanted to be at the top of the totem pole when it came to that sort of stuff. But I think the one that got me, and this was just the Zach Lowe report from ESPN, and this might be recency bias, but I'm never going to forget this, more than the Brian Windhorst checkbook thing. Zach Lowe's report, and I'm not blaming Zach Lowe here. I'm just giving credit for the report. Yep. But he said that, the other owners were grumbling about the Warriors spending as they're in the finals. That one really got me. It's like, it's one thing for Windhorst to say it's a checkbook win or whatever, but for other owners, when they have money to complain about another team spending their money, get out of here. Like, that is so annoying. And I'm watching, like, I hope it wasn't a Jazz owner, because I'm watching the Jazz owner at Pebble Beach at 33 years old. He's like a billionaire, and he's like sinking a par putt on the 16th hole. It's like, and you're complaining about spending. Stop golfing and spend more. How about that, Jazz owner? I don't remember his name. He was wearing Jordans. They were dope. They were so sick. They were wearing like Jordan 3 golf shoes. They were so cool.
I thought you were going to say jackass. We said Jazz owner instead.
Yeah.
Stop golfing, jackass.
Well, I'm not jackass. I should have. Damn it! I should have said that. I should have said that when he was putting. You will not make this putt, you jackass.
Actually got golf on right now, watching the U.S. Open.
Really? I know. Nice.
Well, I got Tolbert likes golf, so I got to.
Who's the top of the leaderboard right now?
It's on commercial right now, but I'll let you know when it comes back.
Oh, right.
I think all the criticism over the years has been stupid, and I'm just glad that I really don't think there's any big arguments to be made. Steph won Finals MVP. They did it without Durant. Everyone said that the Warriors ruined basketball. Sure. And they're still going to ruin basketball because they're good without all the necessary stuff that everyone thinks that they need to win a championship. So I think it's all stupid, and I think they put all their critics to bed. So before we get out of here, Steven, what is the thing that you're looking forward to the most come Monday for the parade?
Jordan Poole.
You think he's going to get the most drunk out of anybody?
Oh, my God, yeah. Have you seen any of those videos of Jordan Poole? Dude was live Instagram, and go to the Warriors Reddit if you can. He's live on Instagram, and he's like with Andrew Wiggins. He's like oh man, this is such a cool moment between him and Wiggins. I'm getting chills just talking about it. He's with Wiggins, and he's holding the camera up. He's like pointing at Wiggins. He's like, "You go get that bag." And then Wiggins is like, I saw that. Go get that bag. And then Jordan was like, "You go get that bag." And then Wiggins is like, "We go get that bag. We go get that bag. Let's go." Oh my God. I can't wait for him at the parade. That's my number one thing. Can't wait for him. What about you?
Well, I'm glad I'm happy for the people of San Francisco that they get a parade, but I do live in Lake Merritt. It would have been nice to just walk out of my apartment and go to a parade, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I get to walk from work to the parade. So
all right, whatever.
That's an English thing.
I am looking
jog on.
I think that the parade's going to be fun. It's not going to be like in the past where they had the big stages and everything, and they're going to say like a little something, and then they're going to walk around San Francisco. I will say this. Whatever happens at the parade, I am fully on board for. But there's one man that needs to be there. And if he's not, then the parade, it's just incomplete. Back on March 8th, the Warriors had a 5-game losing streak. And this man reached out to Steve Kerr to help the Warriors. And since then, they've gone 26-11, and they've won the championship. You can't tell me that the Warriors don't win this championship if Jackie Moon is not there to help Klay Thompson and everybody in pregame warmups. Will Ferrell as Jackie Moon needs to be at the parade. Just like the toaster, just like all of the fun things they had in the past, Jackie Moon needs to be at that parade Monday.
You're absolutely right. There's no doubt. I got frustrated with it at first when you mentioned it, but then, as you gave me the explanation, because I listened to your explanation and I'm willing to change my mind as soon as I have a snap judgment. Yes.
You saw my tweet and was frustrated with that? Come on. Who doesn't love Jackie Moon?
Dude, I'm with you. He needs to be there. That'd be so great. I think he will be. I really do. The Warriors are going to do. I think the Warriors would do something like that. I think Jackie Moon was a big part of that season.
Oh God, yeah. Wouldn't that be so sweet if he comes out to "Love Me Sexy" and he's just out there partying for that?
He's not going to do that. Families are going to be there. It's not like he's going to be like, "I'm talking rainforest sweaty."
Draymond dropped multiple F-bombs in parades before. He could come out to "Love Me Sexy."
Let's make a bathtub full of sweat.
Oh baby. Look, we're naked. Oh. Real quick before we get out of here, Steven, because I know you got to run to go to the Jackie Moon, baby. You got to go to the A's Royals game. Have fun with that today.
Oh yeah, Salvador Perez and Bobby Witt Jr. Baby.
Ooh, yeah. Real quick, am I the only one that didn't like the movie Hustle?
Yep.
I just thought it kind of sucked.
Why? What are your expectations for movies?
Because it was just too many cameos.
You would go in there to these things and expecting like this grandiose freaking like, oh my God, this needs to be like Remember the Titans. Like, what did you expect? It was a fun movie.
I just thought it was kind of cheesy. Like you had Kenny Smith acting. He's just like, oh, look at them titties behind you. And then they got like a weird cameo from Dirk to prove that he's a scout to the Spain guy he's trying to get to come to
that was sick. He's like, oh my God, he's calling Dirk.
It was terrible acting. Hey, I'm all for Adam Sandler being married to Queen Latifah. Give me more of that. But I just wasn't a fan of the movie.
I thought as far as sports scenes go, the basketball scenes were fantastic. Obviously,
yeah, they were.
Juancho Hernan Gomez, who is he wishes he was Bo Cruz, to be honest. I mean, that dude's not that good.
He would have won. He would have got a ring.
Anthony Edwards was awesome. The way that they did the camera up on their face, like, talking shit. I thought that was so great how Anthony Edwards, like, waved at the daughter. Like, that was fantastic.
Okay. I will say, Anthony Edwards, fantastic performance.
Yes.
He was amazing.
He was great. I thought it was an overall good movie. Are you just, like, finding things wrong with movies and you're just
No, Steven, I will just say that if you ask me what my favorite movie of the year is so far, call me childish. I think Chippendales Rescue Rangers is a better movie than Hustle.
You're such a dick.
Real quick, though, I was talking to Elena. I went to go meet up with her at the Mallard after they won, and it's a tradition after the Warriors win. Did you notice that all of the players' wives and girlfriends were there when they won the championship, and Klay Thompson was just kind of like, okay, kind of just by myself.
Yeah.
It would have been such a movie moment if Klay was just like by himself, just bobbing his head, being like, oh man, kind of lonely. I don't have anybody to share this moment with. And then Raymond Ritter's like, don't worry, Klay, he's here. And he brings out Rocco. He's like, oh, my dog, yay.
That would have been so great. That would have been theatrical. Klay sitting in the middle. Jesse was talking about it when Steph and Draymond and Wiggins all had their kids there, and Klay's just in the middle with the trophy, and he's on his own. She's like, "Oh, Uncle Klay!" I'm like, yeah, I love that, Uncle Klay.
Well, I can't wait for the parade come Monday, man. It's going to be awesome, and I'm glad the Warriors won at Game 6 for a lot of reasons. Because if there was a Game 7, we'd all be sweating it out. But tomorrow is Father's Day. And Steven, I know you've had a rough year, so yeah. I'm glad that tomorrow you get to enjoy it with your mom and your brother and just have a good day and not have to worry about a basketball game.
Yeah, Top Gun was one of his favorite movies, so we're going to go watch Top Gun Maverick, in his honor. So that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. So what do you got planned?
I don't really know. Meet up with Greg for a little bit and then kind of just chill.
Wow. Sounds like you really got it all figured out.
Oh, I do, baby. I do. Congrats to the Warriors. It's awesome. We'll do another podcast come next weekend. We'll try to get some guests on and talk about the championship run and everything. And then we'll transition to football and maybe talk a little baseball. We'll see where this goes. But thanks to everybody for listening through this basketball season. We had a lot of fun. This has been fantastic. Talk about this team and plenty more to come. We'll see what they do in free agency.
I don't know what the draft pick status is like, but that's next week too. So we'll talk about that. Steven, enjoy the A's game. Enjoy tomorrow with your family, and say what you always say, my friend.
That's just our opinion, man. Real quick. Just got to get it